Hi, my name is Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer, and I've been doing technical analysis for many, many years. Over 10 years, I've been playing with these charts, and longer, actually, I've been trading. So let's break down into my macro technical analysis. We're going to break down Bitcoin, total 3. We're going to look at the DXY, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, the S&P futures, gold, NASDAQ futures. We're going to look at 3 other charts that are going to blow your mind, some ETHBTC. Also going to look at another chart that you haven't seen in a while that's showing you something big that's happening in the bigger global financial markets. Pay attention to this one because this one's going to blow your mind. Let's jump on into it and let's get it in. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications and let's break it down. So first we're going to start with Bitcoin. All right. One thing I want to talk about was I gave a call this morning for Bitcoin in my trading group in the 4-hour time frame. The stochastics looked right and ready. We felt like we broke back inside, but because the wick closed inside of this and that candle closed inside of the channel, I said we have to play this pattern as if it's still the same. And we ended up booming to the upside. And so if you're in my trading group, you had a massive gain this morning, making that call. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at your weekly time frame. And we talked about the weekly today at the beginning of the day, and we want to see this weekly close green, right? Very important. We have 2 days and 6 hours. The weekly close green. I just don't see how we don't continue further to the upside. It almost says we probably trend in a flag, like so. The flag trends, and then we have a massive measured move. That measured move takes me to $154,000 somewhere by March. So it says we're going to have this big move up to about $150,000 for Bitcoin somewhere into March. At that point, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but that's definitely going to be a monster pullback for Bitcoin and a bunch of other, and that's crazy. But right now, let's just focus on the uptrend. It looks like we're going to be in, as long as this candle closes green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks maybe of kind of uptrending price action. We may never go higher than like 109, 108 really, and then we blast somewhere in the end of January upwards to $155,000. So this candle closing where it is right now is so bullish for Bitcoin. It's awesome. It's changed the whole trajectory of the day, and things are really looking great at a $100,184 here for BTC. We head to the 3-day chart, my favorite 3-day, and we talked about this being a flag, looking good. They had the indecision candle, but so be it. This will close on Saturday night, right? Yeah, Saturday night. We'll get the 3-day candle to close. So far, that's looking great. And just here, it tells us $136,000 Bitcoin's coming out of this flag. We zoom into the daily, and today it looked like the daily was going to rip. There was just no reason. You know, the daily was back inside the flag, even though this crazy candle went all the way down to 90,006 or something. It closed back inside. So I said to everyone this morning, this is probably going to continue to pump. And now if this daily candle closes, it will be the biggest daily candle close in history of Bitcoin. And that just has to tell you that you broke out. And now you can literally just honestly buy right now with a stop loss below here and trade the breakout to like 113,000. Could be one of the easiest trades of your life, to literally buy somewhere in this area. I'll pull back on the 1 hour, use the 1 hour for some type of pullback or flag, a retest of a key area. And then with the stop loss just below this right here where this wick is at like 96,000, and you can open it up to 114K. I mean, it's beautiful. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. You do whatever makes you happy, but that trade looks very likely. So the daily looks like we're going to continue to pump. I wouldn't be surprised when I come back next week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're somewhere above 113, maybe even upwards, higher, So today is the 6th. 7 days from now will be the 13th when I'm here next Friday. And it suggests we're going to be somewhere between $112,000 and $117,000 next Friday. Total market cap. We talked about it breaking out the last time we were here. Exactly on the 29th, I drew this and said, hey, we did break up to the upside. The total market cap absolutely exploding to the upside. We took a look at this giant cup and handle, and it suggests that we're not stopping till we get to $4.3 trillion. There's going to be some bumps along the way. We're going to have some ups and downs, sideways price action, but things are looking really good. Not to get too micro, we're going to stay from the daily to the weekly here. All right, and we look at our weekly time frame. We're just on a massive tear here. And eventually, maybe some sideways price action when we hit 3.18 trillion. There's possibility, but man, the altcoins are ripping, Bitcoin's ripping. This may just continue to kind of shoot up for a little while here till we get to the target. I look at the daily, and I see the daily at least possibly maybe, Bitcoin might, like I showed you, might start to do that kind of uptrending flag, and that might kind of cool this off. But then I just see us continuing to rip. Total market cap looks amazing. Right now, the altcoins look they're about to rip on the 6 hour. Looks like you're about to get an injection of about $340 billion into this market. That's a beautiful little flag. The daily's a little high with some bearish div there. You see that? And it is away from the 21-day moving average. Let's see what we can get on the smaller time frames. But right now, I would watch your 4 hour for a big move. We may get here and get rejected, but it's telling me we can pump all the way up to 1.3 trillion before we start to get like maybe a bigger pullback. We are ripping. We look at the weekly on the total market cap of all these altcoins, and they're just out of control as well. You know, there was your cup. That was your handle. It is about to finish a leg of a measured move, and usually we hit a leg, and that's pretty much, you know, so we're getting very close to the end of a big, big leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll be 7 weeks straight of just massive pumping for the altcoin. So it does tell you there would have to be some either sideways or, you know, a pullback, but maybe we can get 2-3 more weeks to the bigger target of 1.34. But I just, you know, tells me to be careful, right? But we'll go, you know, one more big push here. So watch the 4 hour. Let's see how that does. It says we can continue to go further to the upside. Always a bot doing something there. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. And, you know, the altcoins will continue to rip if Bitcoin dominance continues to drop. And so far, it's looking beautiful. Like we are low on the stochastics, but just look for it to go sideways as these come up. And then when it rolls over, boom. Again, it also does show a little bit of sideways price action. We may get some nice upward. That's what would be great. If we can now have Bitcoin just go sideways for the next 4 or 5 days, telling that above 100K is an okay place to be. That's really what we want to start seeing. All right. But Bitcoin dominance looking great. Tether dominance should be dumping too. It's falling out of a descending triangle. I see it headed all the way to 2.9%. Not much else to talk about. Doing exactly what we want. And people are jumping out of Tether like it's, you know, a burning building. Like, get out of Tether. You don't want Tether. The DXY, a little interesting with Trump in office and him kind of threatening BRICS a little bit and all that. It did get a little bit of a push. At the same time, over time, it does look like it's trending down. But look for it to see if it could bounce. Lately, Bitcoin and the dollar can pump together, so I wouldn't stress. And it looks like, you know, Trump may get this dollar pumping a little more here. If the dollar falls from this area, look for it to drop back down to 104. But interesting, the dollar may try to get a bit of a pump. And it did look, it broke out of this falling wedge, and now it's flagging again. So the dollar looks stronger than you know. At the same time, it hasn't been the worst thing in the world. Looks like the dollar is going to pump a little bit here. One thing I want to show you is gold. You know, gold's kind of a shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. Does gold start to drop? Gold may actually start to drop a little bit down to the 200 MA. It is starting to hold, and, you know, the dollar, but see, the dollar stopped dumping. And so the dollar stopped dumping. Gold doesn't have that edge anymore. And then people are thinking, hey, why would I buy gold when I could buy Bitcoin? So now I'm showing you the PAXGBTC chart. This is gold for Bitcoin. All right. This is PAX is tied to gold. This is Bitcoin. You can clearly see that people are starting to get into Bitcoin. And again, you know, gold doubled in the last, like, I don't know, 8 years or something. Bitcoin does that every day almost. It seems like it's crazy, right? So, you know, people are definitely dumping gold for Bitcoin. People are selling gold ETFs for Bitcoin. And when you saw the Bitcoin ETF hit the $2 trillion in the highest, you know, the high levels that it hit, way faster than gold ETF ever did, it told you that it was definitely going to eat it up. Like it's, you know, they're in the same asset class, and one is clearly beating up on the other. It looks like gold's taking a hit against Bitcoin, and that's going to continue. We looked at the S&P, and yeah, the dollar's strong, but it still shows a big love for risk on assets. And if they cut assets, that's going to be great. The CME is saying they're going to cut that asset. They're going to cut assets. If they're going to cut rates, it's going to be great for the risk on assets. So we're seeing the rate cut. This is my call for the S&P. I've given multiple. Here's another one. You can basically raise the stop loss to break even at this point. I see this continuing to rip. S&P's in a rising wedge and headed further up ever since I've talked about it. Just keeps doing what I've suggested. NASDAQ, the same thing. I see the NASDAQ making a massive move to the upside, only a matter of time. And it is just breaking out. It's a little ahead of the S&P. NASDAQ booming. I see 25,000 for the NASDAQ. It basically is the all-time highs right now as we speak. Today is an all-time high, I believe, for the NASDAQ. Let me make sure I'm saying that correctly. But yeah, today is an all-time high for the NASDAQ for sure. So, boom. I see a bigger move coming for the NASDAQ. The weekly looks good. The 3-day chart looks great. The daily looks good. So, big moves coming. Sol Bitcoin. As long as this continues to go sideways, we're good to go. Sol Bitcoin. And eventually, Bitcoin will pump, Sol will pump, and we'll continue this rally. And I see Sol beating up on Bitcoin. It is taking its time, but eventually Sol will beat up on Bitcoin. And Ethereum BTC, not as hot as you would think, finally making its first higher low in a set, finally trying to break this long-term trend. But again, if Bitcoin keeps kind of powering up, Ethereum may just be able to power up with it. It may never actually fully get crazy here and break on out. We're not sure for sure, you know. One thing I will show you, though, is ETH dominance, right? Once ETH dominance breaks above the 200 MA on the daily, or even like the 4-hour, that's a good sign, right? You see this? ETH dominance breaking above that, that's a really good sign. That alt season can really start to kind of make a big move here. So you want to see this. You want to see this get the pump. But it's funny, ETH Bitcoin used to give us a stronger signal. I don't know. These days, because Bitcoin is such a massive asset now and pushing so much harder, you just almost want to see that ETH can stay with it. Good thing that you did break above the 200 MA there. That does sign for a big alt season. Like, we really want to see that be consistent. So once ETHBTC does break above the 200 MA, that's going to be when alt season really, really, really can kick off. That's when hopefully Bitcoin can finally kind of chill for a second, and it will just be a massive run to the upside. That was your awesome macro technical analysis for the week for Bitcoin total 3, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, the DXY, gold, PAXGBTC, S&P futures, NASDAQ futures, and SOLBTC and Ethereum BTC. Everyone, I love you. I thank you so much for being here. Come back next week. We can sum this up and see what happened. It's awesome, but we're likely to continue to pump. I will see you in Valhalla. May God bless you. Thank you. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you can find out when I post my next video. Crypto is life.